Deputy Prime Minister, the Honorable Dr. Asif Martin, my other cabinet colleagues, our permanent secretaries, especially Financial Secretary from the Ministry of Finance and others who are here from the other ministries, our heads of departments, and our representatives from the social partners community. Let me thank you in my own way for being here and join with the speakers who have gone before me to welcome you to this year's national consultation as our deliberations are aptly guided by the theme, the green economy, pathway towards a sustainable future. It's somewhat difficult for me this morning because yesterday I made a presentation and I am not certain what to leave out because I don't want you to be less prepared for the discussion that will take place, less prepared than those who were prepared yesterday. So I shall try my very best to capture most of what I said yesterday and set the tone, therefore, for our discussion based on the other presentations and what is also being described this morning as the featured address. But I would wish each of you as participants to take the next few hours very seriously because you were really invited here to discuss issues related to the 2014 budget, as well as the laying of the foundation for the next wave of development of our beloved Federation, St. Kitts-Nevis. I would start by giving you a very brief overview of the state of the economy. And I want to inform you that we have observed signs of recovery, albeit slow, in the first half of 2013. And this was evidenced by a 1.9% growth in real GDP following 4 consecutive years of contraction in economic activity. The expansion in our GDP resulted from growth in the tourism sector, particularly in the stayover arrivals, and a very strong rebound in construction activity. And the construction sector was positively impacted by the following. 1, by public sector construction activities, such as major road and drainage works, and 2, various private sector projects, including the continuation of work on hotel and real estate development projects. And a lot of these in particular are being driven by the Citizenship by Investment program. The manufacturing sector, however, contracted. It contracted by 2.9% as a consequence of a decline in the production of beverages and the negative impact of business cycle fluctuations on the electronic component industry. Nevertheless, over the medium term, the outlook is for the economy to continue its recovery and achieve a 1.9% growth rate by the end of 2013. As expected, domestic prices have now stabilized following the pass-through effects associated with the introduction of the value-added tax, that is the VAT, and increase in electricity rates. The inflation rate for 2012 was therefore reduced to 1.4% from 7.1% where it stood in 2012. Just a bit of word on the banking sector. The banking system remains stable with key liquidity and profitability indicators exceeding regional regulatory benchmarks. Residents' deposits increased steadily driven mainly by an improving public sector cash position. Subdued credit conditions prevail in the context of the public sector's continuing fiscal consolidation and fairly consistent reductions in private sector demand. Of concern, however, is that non-performing loans, though consistently lower than regional averages, currently, at the moment, that is, exceed the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union benchmarks, having risen to approximately 10% of the total loans and advances in the first quarter of 2013. And obviously, this is of concern to us. On the fiscal side, I am happy to report strong performances of the consolidated overall and primary balances, that is, the fiscal outturn of both the central government and the Nevis Island administration. By the end of 2012, these balances exceeded the targets to which we committed under the IMF standby arrangement. I don't want to go into the details with regard to the actual balances and surpluses. I would want the Ministry of Finance later on to do that. But it would be remiss of me if I did not inform you that our debt restructuring program is indeed progressing, with total disbursed outstanding debt down to just about 100% of GDP at the end of September of this year. This was the position following the restructuring of some of our bonds and loans, and most recently, the impact of the first phase of the debt for land swap. Remember where we were coming from, almost 200% of GDP. Now it is down just about 100% of GDP. And I want to inform further that by 2014 to 2015, we expect that the debt ratio will be further reduced to 89% of GDP, and by 2020, it should be down to 60% of GDP. Among the salient questions to be considered for answers during our discourse today are the following. 1, what will underpin our development over the next 5 years? 2, what framework is to be adopted to ensure a sustainable future for our economy and for our people? In government, we have started to organize our own thoughts on creating a sustainable future for generations of Kittitians and Nevisians. We believe, however, that it is important for all stakeholders. Yesterday we had the economic stakeholders. Today we are having the social stakeholders, in order to share in the process of consensus building on critical issues of development. You will recall that in our 2010 Labour Party manifesto under the theme, Progress Not Promises, my government pledged to press ahead with plans and actions to attain sustainable energy self-sufficiency, to further enhance the reliability and durability of our existing energy infrastructure. We have invested heavily in energy generation, energy transmission, and energy security. You've just heard for the last few minutes an extensive presentation by our Minister of Energy, who has outlined the new energy policy of our government. But permit me to emphasize that we remain committed and confident, fully confident, in ensuring that renewable energy must play an ever-increasing role in the sustainable future of this, our beloved Federation. This administration is mindful that energy efficiency is extremely important to the growth and development of our economy. Of course, we understand that pursuing renewable alternatives is part of our own obligation under international sustainable development governance structures, for it is a vital part of how we seek to cut carbon emissions while at the same time meet growing energy demand in a way that protects the environment for generations to come. As with our debt management strategies, when it comes to the pursuit of a green economy, I believe that we here in St. Kitts and Nevis can push hard and arrive ahead of the pack, despite some of the setbacks that we've experienced with regard to the geothermal project on the sister island of Nevis. We are already on a good track, and we should remain focused on becoming the greenest and the most energy-efficient economy in the region, as we here in St. Kitts and Nevis develop as the first sustainable island state in the Caribbean and in the entire world. I want to remind us that we must not mind too much our size. I believe that we can do it, and we shall do it for the benefit of this generation and generations to come. It is the goal of my government to steadily reduce St. Kitts and Nevis's reliance on fossil fuels and to steadily increase the percentage of our energy needs that are met by renewable resources. To date, we have embarked on several specific sustainable energy initiatives that are geared toward the greening of our economy and mainstreaming of the green economy into existing development programs and strategies. I will not mention the following initiatives that have been taken because I believe that the minister made reference to them a moment ago. But I want to emphasize that the government, the people's government, it has developed this energy policy that will allow for the creation of an enabling environment to support the granting of concessions for the growth and expansion of green energy initiatives. To this end, I am very pleased that our own corporate community has come on board and is partnering with us in the greening of the economy. And here we can make reference to both TDC and SL Horsford, who have on their own initiated a number of solar panels as part of their renewable energy system, and thus cutting costs with regard to their electricity bills. I believe that in going forward, those businesses that are best insulated from energy price shocks are going to be the most successful. Likewise, those households, those consumers who are the least exposed to high energy prices are those whose household bills will be the most manageable. And that is why my government, very shortly, will be launching an initiative where affordable homes in the new Habitat Independence 30 housing program provided by the NHC will be equipped with and powered by solar panels. Indeed, we are excited that through this particular program, the beneficiaries who are our citizens will realize significant reductions in their energy bill. We are making our energy sources more sustainable, our energy consumption much more efficient, our businesses much more profitable, and our economy much more resilient from external shocks such as high energy prices. Our decision of whether we are going green is vital to the future growth and development of this, our beloved federation. We are putting energy efficiency where it should be, at the heart of our energy policy, and at the start point of the race in pursuit of a green economy. But I want to stress at this time that developing the green economy is much more than achieving energy efficiency. It has everything to do with examining our economic transformation process in a holistic way. We therefore must introduce the concept of greening introduce the concept of greening across all sectors. Our strategy has to be coherent if we are to maximize the economic and financial benefits that going green can provide. When we came to government back in 1995, we recognized that if we are to survive as the smallest nation state in the entire world, we would have to employ smart growth strategies and sound investments in our people. That is why we have opened up and proudly embraced opportunities for our young people, and some not so young, to pursue higher learning at universities and colleges across the entire globe. The journey along the path to a green economy requires that we rethink our own agricultural diversification policies and programs as well. I am particularly pleased now, fully satisfied with the renewed emphasis, the vibrancy of energy and enthusiasm that have been brought to bear within the Ministry of Agriculture and the wider farming community. We are very clear in our minds that the agricultural sector has a pivotal role to play in the green economy. Agriculture, I remind us, is an important sector for us here in St. Kitts-Nevis because of its potential to influence a wide range of issues that are critically related to sustainable development. And these issues include the following: the economy, the employment, food security, trade flows, poverty, human health, climate change, the use of natural resources, especially our land and our water, and of course, biodiversity. The Ministry of Agriculture, under the Agricultural Resource Management Project, has been constructing field dams to provide affordable irrigation water to farmers, and these have been sited in different parts of our island. Greenhouses and shade houses are now being constructed throughout the island as a means of assisting farmers to increase crop production and overall to boost productivity in the agriculture sector. We believe that we can produce food all year round and not in the different seasons that we have been accustomed to in the past. But we are mindful that the agricultural diversification process requires a change in mindsets. It requires continuous training, and it requires the retooling of some of our farmers. Accordingly, through the Ministry of Agriculture, we will collect and analyze data to provide an overview of the sector and present the potential economic returns, income generation, job creation, and poverty reduction benefits that can be achieved by investing in new sustainable forms of agriculture. From this undertaking, we will develop a package of policy reforms, a package of investments, and capacity building measures for fostering the transition to our green economy, which we say must be at the center of St. Kitts and Nevis becoming the first sustainable island state. I remain very steadfast in my own conviction that innovation has to be seen as central to economic performance and social welfare, for it is a significant driver of economic growth and development. And we embrace the concept of eco-innovation as a new field of techno-social innovations that focuses on the environment and people, which is being pursued at this time by the Japanese. I want to say that this government is fully supportive of initiatives and programs that promote eco-innovation, that are diverse and address both supply side and demand side issues. We recognize the need for a more collaborative approach to innovation as many initiatives involve creating networks, creating platforms, creating partnerships that engage different industry and non-industry stakeholders alike. Once again, I encourage our young people to embrace the spirit of entrepreneurship and take full advantage of the SIDF's Small Entrepreneur and Enterprise Development Program, referred to as SEED. I believe that the scope of eco-innovation may go beyond the conventional organizational boundaries of the innovator and involve broader social arrangements that influence changes in existing socio-cultural norms and institutional structures here in St. Kitts and Nevis. I want to look at tourism because we are all aware that tourism is a leading sector in our economy, driving growth and providing employment for a significant number of our people. And given these facts, I submit that there is a sound economic case for our own economic partners to begin to invest in and adapt to a framework of green, sustainable tourism. We recognize that green tourism has the potential to create new jobs and therefore assist in improving efficiency and productivity in the sector, as well as helping to reduce unemployment, especially among our young people. I want to reference here, as I did yesterday, the Kitts-Nevis Hill Resort Development Project, which was envisaged and which was planned along the concepts of a green economy and a green country, that is, relying on renewable energy systems and sustainable land use for agricultural purposes and also for decorative purposes. I want to remind us that we must be mindful that the local economic effects of tourism are determined by the level of visitor spending in the local economy and in the direct and the indirect benefits, I should say, that are associated with the multiplier effect. Therefore, increasing the involvement of local communities, especially the ordinary men and women in the tourism value chain, can and must contribute to the development of our green economy here in St. Kitts and Nevis. As Prime Minister and Minister of Finance and Minister of Sustainable Development, I am acutely aware, and I also wish for you to become aware, that government investments and policies can leverage private sector actions on green tourism and the overall green economy. Through government spending on public goods, such as protected areas, cultural assets, water conservation, waste management, sanitation, roads, and renewable energy infrastructure, we can reduce the cost of green investments by our private sector. Here again, it emphasizes the symbiotic role of government as a facilitator and the private sector as the drivers of our economy. Accordingly, the government's approach to green tourism involves efficiency improvements in the following: 1, energy requirements; 2, water consumption; and 3, waste management systems. And I must say to us here this morning, it is taking us too long for us to develop initiatives with regard to recycling. I don't think we have seen any recycling plants here in our country, although I believe our cabinet has approved no less than 2 over the last few years. We need recycling to be part of our own ambitious drive to develop the green economy here in the first sustainable island state, St. Kitts and Nevis. There are significant opportunities to grow our tourism product offerings by making better use of our cultural heritage and natural environment. And so to this end, we as a government have introduced legislation to protect our national symbols and features as part of our own efforts to ensure that we do not fall victim to the myriad of challenges related to the hijacking of our patents and cultural theft. Already, the government has taken measures also to protect our critical environmental resources. You must be aware that under the OECS Parks and Associated Livelihoods Projects, OPAL, we have formally designated all those lands above the 1,000-foot contour as a protected area. And in this protected area, called our Central Forest Reserve, there are opportunities for participation in green tourism livelihood activities. I also make mention of the Integrated Watershed and Coastal Areas Management Project, the IWCAM, which is providing us in part with resources to protect our critical groundwater resource within the lower coastal section of the Bastille Valley. And I want to say that under this project, we will see the development of a national park in Kitts-Nevis Estate area. Apart from protecting our precious water supply, this national park will provide an avenue for passive and active recreation for generations now and generations in the future. Ladies and gentlemen, the purpose really for us to be here this morning is to have a dialogue. To have a dialogue and then arrive at consensus with regards to the green economy as a viable pathway towards a sustainable future for St. Kitts and Nevis. I am convinced that by working together, we can nurture and grow investments in all sectors of our economy. We have been, I should say, using tax concessions and subsidies to encourage private investment in renewable energy, ICT, agriculture, manufacturing, and tourism. I am hoping that from this year's consultation exercise, we can design further programs to induce new investment that will bring us closer to transforming into a green and prosperous economy. I therefore challenge that at the end of this national consultation on the economy, you and us as social partners will have a basis for developing a new development framework, one that will clearly outline the way forward for sustainable development and inclusive growth here in St. Kitts and Nevis, the first sustainable island state. Thank you.